So to talk a little bit more about that, we welcome in Kyle Lobner of Brew Crew Ball. Kyle, welcome back into the show. Last time I talked to you, high expectations. How are you feeling now, though?
Well, I'm certainly not feeling as good as I felt on Monday.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's been a rough couple days for this Brewer team, but they've still got a pretty strong chance to turn it around and advance tomorrow night.
Okay, so tell me, realistically, what's gone wrong? When I look at this, you have to point the finger at some of the pitching. The lefties have just struggled, to say the least, haven't they?
Well, the pitching certainly has been an issue the last two nights, and anytime you give up grand slams on back-to-back nights, they have to take a big share of the blame. But I think when you look around the web this morning, a fair amount of the finger-pointing being done for the way the team has performed the last couple nights is headed towards Ron Roenicke, who really has looked the last couple nights like a manager who's never had to make the decision to lift a starting pitcher early in the playoffs before. Mm-hmm. Both Sean Markham and Randy Wolf the last two nights have been left in past a point where you could see a veteran manager giving them the hook and trying to see what his bullpen could do to keep his team in the game.
I was going to say, it reminds me, honestly, we won't go back to, obviously being a Red Sox fan, I use this example all the time, but, the Grady Little leaving Pedro Martinez in too long, and it ended up, ending his career, and it ended the Red Sox bid to go into the World Series. It's not to that extent, I don't think, but still, this is two nights in a row. Are people calling for his head now? What's going on?
Well, I think there's a portion of my readership. It's smaller than it was earlier in the season, but there's a portion of my readership that would like Ron Roenicke's head on a platter at every opportunity. The last couple nights have certainly been frustrating, and Grady Little's name has come up in conversation on my site more than a couple times over the last few days. I think on the whole, it's tough to argue with the results Roenicke has seen this season, but the last couple nights he has looked a little bit overmatched, which is pretty impressive when you consider that on Monday, most of the conversation surrounding this series was regarding how much Roenicke had outmanaged Kirk Gibson in the series' first two games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's what a lot of people are really looking to. But I really want to go to, his comments. You guys did a great job of posting up, the post-game comments after last night's game, and everybody was really looking to that. And I'm going to scroll down. There was, I think it's like the third from the bottom, I believe. Yep, here it is right here. Did he see enough from Wolf in the second to let him pitch the third? So this is Roenicke's comments back, and so I want to get into this. He says, oh, well, that's in also trying to get through the game. When you get behind that many runs early, you got to pinch hit in some spots. They come up. If you go to the bullpen guy right away, that's a bat's going to come up, and then you're going to go and decide, okay, we're 5 runs down or whatever you are, and then we're going to send up our pitcher to hit. So do you agree with those comments? That's basically what he was saying right there. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
The Brewers put themselves in a relatively difficult position last night because of the way they handled Tuesday night's game. Mm-hmm. They have several pitchers who are in the bullpen who are capable of going multiple innings in Chris Narveson, Marco Estrada, and Cameron Lowe. But all of them pitched individual innings on Tuesday, which probably meant that none of them were available to pitch a really extended, 3-inning or so outing last night. So to a point, I can kind of understand the decision to let Wolf attempt to pitch a third inning. If that's the rationale for doing it, I can see the logic there. I disagree with that because I think that once you get to a point where you've got a guy who's allowed 5 runs in the first 2 innings, gave up a grand slam in the first inning, walked the pitcher in the second, I think it's relatively clear that he wasn't going anywhere in the short term. And sure enough, he got knocked around again in the third inning. I think when you hit playoff baseball, you have to treat it with a sense of urgency. Like this game matters more than just a regular season game. And when you've got a guy who's struggling that much, you need to try to find some combination that gives you an opportunity to win the game.